안녕하세요. 조소입니다. 감사합니다. Purple Kiss, a new group. I told you we would get to it, okay? I told you. I wasn't going to leave you hanging, right? Just as soon as we get time. And this is actually interesting because Purple Kiss is with RBW, the same company that MAMAMOO was with. I think they're still with RBW, right? Well, I guess this is like a more their fourth gen group then, fourth gen girl group, RBW, and I know some of the members have even worked with MAMAMOO before. I know that there's they've even worked with artists like Chung Ha, so it's pretty impressive. And let's check it out, and let's see what it's all about, huh? Let's see a new group and a fourth gen girl group also.
여기에 붙어라 엄지를 붙여 모두 모여라 꼭꼭 숨어라 Purple Kiss had a bloody top 술래잡기는 시작해봐 너와 나 타올라 더 타올라 like a fire 오늘 밤 나를 쫓아 난 너를 쫓아 like a zombie
Oh, big vocal at the end there. They ramped up all the effects, all the boost. You got delay, reverb, everything was drenched. So if you're gonna be on the same, if you're gonna have a label mate like Mamamoo, and it makes sense that you have some pretty good vocals, right? And they certainly did. Every like they have nice complementing sounds, each voice. Like they really fit together, at least in this song, right? Because this is the first time hearing Purple Kiss, but all of their tone and register, they sit quite nicely close together. Like no one seemed to be a lot higher or a lot lower. Everybody kind of works well within the same type of range. There was some, like, right at the start too. It's very interesting because her look begets maybe like a cuter, like higher pitched kind of a tone, right? And it wasn't at all the type of voice that I was expecting to hear out of her. Which, but it's good though. It's like, it's great. And I'm not saying that that's not a critical point. Because she has a very nice voice, but I was expecting, one of those, like a sort of a higher range, more narrow sounding vocal sounds. But no, she, like, everybody fits within that sort of range. The guitar work is really nice. It's a really fun sort of, the guitar and the bass are both that, like, a funk style. You got a lot of slightly muted chords going on in the guitar part, and the bass line is incredibly groovy. Both of those parts are hooks in and of themselves. The chord sequence on the guitar, and then what the bass is doing, that bass line over it, is also a hook. With the main hook being the zombie BBB, it's a really cool color, both visually and in terms of the sound, right? Like their range of where they sit, and it also, now that I'm thinking about it, it does sort of remind me of like the Mamamoo sound, but in terms of production is what I'm talking about. The way that the vocals are grouped together. As I'll have to listen to it again. I was kind of focusing more on the rhythms. They have some really nice rhythms, actually. The parts that are rapped are so smooth. It's not quite the rap singing. Like, it definitely is sort of a rap rhythm part on that part, but it's so smooth. The transitions, there are some of them where I'm gonna have to count it. It either, because it feels like they wanted to change time, like the time signature. Perhaps it almost feels that way. It's heavily syncopated, and it feels like things kind of speed up, almost breaks away from the beat completely. It's a little bit abrupt, but it still works when the next section kicks in. It very quickly and easily goes back to the sort of groove that it has, being carried mostly by the bass voice that's carrying along the chord progression, right? You can hear the guitar is outlining the chord, obviously. So you're getting at least there's a third, there's a root, and this is not like they're playing power chords. It's a fairly clean guitar sound. It's got a great tone. So you can hear the outline of the chord in that part, and then the root is of course being played in the bass part, and they create this groove as they're following the chord progression along. It's interesting. It's I'm mostly curious, or what catches my interest the most is the way that the transitions are held. Everything else is really it's great. There's not, when I say it catches my attention, it's interesting. I'm trying to figure out how it fits, because everything else is like perfect. It's exactly what you would want it to be. But let's see, we're in 4 definitely. We got some even the percussion is like, it's rather I want to say light, but it's not punchy. You have a accent on the 2 and the 4. There's a lot of the 8th note subdivisions in most of the parts, and where it goes farther than that into 16th note. Some of the vocal rhythms, particularly the rap section, and there might have been a couple of synth parts in there. But let me see. It's a cool concept. Okay, see, her voice, it didn't sound at all what from the visual, right? And there's some compression on it, and there's some reverb also, maybe a little bit of delay in there, so you can hear the sort of repeat on it. But it's really interesting, like. So the guitar, it's an interesting rhythm, because it kind of plays like a 1 and 2, and then it's rest, and then 3 and 4, and then it's rest, and then see, it's so interesting the way that's grouped. Yeah, so 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. It's something like that. It's quite an interesting phrasing. It works really well, because it feels like it's only 3 chords. Oh, see, it's so wild. Like, what a crazy transition. Okay, wait, I need to go forward. Okay, nice. Okay, so it works, and it's cool because you get a drum fill as kind of a part of the pickup there. Man, it's like it shifts so rapidly, like within beats. These measures where the transition is coming in, so much of the mix basically breaks down, and then it like starts up again, and it's in time. Nothing's missing there. The count actually worked. It's really cool. That's like, usually you see something much more it's just a more like, consistent, put together kind of a groove, right? Because it is a bit abrupt. It feels a bit abrupt, and then the start up again, you get that drum fill, like it works because it can catch that groove again so quickly afterwards. But it's an interesting approach, man. I'm trying to think, I don't know if anybody else has done that yet. Maybe because it's not the it's happened before, definitely, in pop music, even outside of K-pop. I mean, just pop music in general. But it's a wild feeling whenever that transition happens. So the mix is really full here, and it's pretty cool. Like, there's a string sound. There's a very high pitch string part that's going on. It almost gives it like a disco feel. It's like a light disco overtone, kind of. But you have like your percussion and the bass, and then the guitar is going, and then there are little synth parts that are thrown in here, kind of throughout. Sometimes they're just little hits, and sometimes they're little motifs. You get a short phrase or something, but it's quite a full mix by the time it gets to this chorus part. And the transitions, they keep it like it's a crazy way of doing it. See, and again, it's a breakdown there, right? It's gonna be on time. The mix, as I'm listening to it, the parts keep shifting from the left to the right, and it's really subtle, and it only works because it's also synchronized. But all, like, every instrument voicing in your mix, right? I hear the bass. Mostly it's kind of balanced, but there are times when it will move over to the left or to the right, and when it does that, the guitar will be very present in whatever the opposite side is, and then it'll switch with that violin, that sort of synth string sound also that's going on, and it's a very subtle. It keeps shifting. It keeps like changing on the horizontal that way, and then you have these wild transition these spaces that are in the movements between sections, between verse and pre-chorus into chorus, or back into verse. It doesn't lose its groove, but it is constantly shifting and changing. And it's kind of cool, actually. Really nice rhythm. Vocal rhythms. There's really nice synth bass layering that goes in there, like, and it's not the whole, it doesn't go on for the whole song or even the whole section. It's adding to the cap on that phrase, right? It comes right at the end, the last couple of beats there with a subdivision, and 3 and 4, no, and what is it, 3 and 4, and I think it's like and it's very big. I mean, like left and right. It makes the bass this like really huge, massive section underneath it, just for that one part to kind of punctuate it. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's crazy. Oh no, like these sections, this bridge section, The bass has dropped out like completely, basically. And then we've got these vocals that have a massive reverb on them. Like it feels like they're in just a huge space, and it's almost more like a cheer or a chant or something. The emphasis is not on pitch but on rhythm, and they definitely have like they're drenched in reverb. And at the same time, there's synth chords that are going on that sound like almost like like a synth harpsichord or something, and that's outlining your chord mainly. Then there's another synth in there that has like some crazy delay on it, like a really quick interval delay that creates this wobbling, like wah, 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 like it's a really fast delay. This creates this sort of like oscillating effect on it. It's really, everything spaces out here. Like it becomes real airy, real spacey. Kind of lifts because the bass is so impactful on the other sections of the song. Your verse and your chorus section, like the bass it's really strong. And in these sections, when there's contrast, everything lifts up into the sort of higher area, the higher range stuff. Oh, there's the bass. Sustained whole notes. That was a really good like slide up on that on the vocal there, from one pitch up to the other. Connected the whole time, very legato, a slide up, not a jump up, but like you hear all the range in between both where it starts and the high pitch where it finishes, where she actually brings that line to. And it's very strong. A lot of when it hits the chorus part and you hear that zombie, like they open up the vocal really well for the vowel sound at zombie, like you can really hear that soft palate drop and everything. Feels very disco-y at the end. The strings, all of those ad-libs, the other vocal lines. Yeah, like the disco sound is really strong that last go around, the last sort of chorus part, because that synth string section is really busy there, like more so than in other sections. Is doing little arpeggios in different ways, little lines in there, moving down and up around, through the chord that's playing at that part. It's pretty cool. It is a very disco funk type of song for sure, definitely. It has a fantastic groove to it, and those are hooks too. Like the main hook in the vocal is the zombie, right? That's your main vocal hook that comes around in the chorus. But there are so many other hooks that are actually written into the instrument parts. That's in the bass line, that's in the guitar work, and even in the strings. Like for sure, the strings, especially towards the end there. It's really an interesting type of song, especially those transitions, like that's wild. It's I try to relate it to the concept, right? Because it's zombie, but this is definitely, you know, a funk disco type of track, and so it's almost like, you know, it's coming back to life or reanimating, right? Like it kind of breaks down and then you know, like it comes back to life, right? It's reanimated. So it's pretty interesting. Like it's a great concept. Visually they have a great look. You know, it's got like pop punk elements of maybe like, I don't know, almost gothy stuff in there, because it's a bit spooky, right? I mean, like zombie, that's gonna be like a spooky kind of theme, but it's its own type of groove for sure, and they sound really really good. Like they have some really solid vocals. Like I said, if you're gonna be in the same company as like MAMAMOO, if you're gonna work with like Chungha and stuff, you're gonna have some solid vocal work, and they definitely have some strong vocals. It would be interesting. I believe that this is I think this was their first comeback, if I'm not mistaken. I think. And so there's some difference in between like what the sound was when they debuted and then being the first comeback track. So, you know, it's if this is indicative of the type of sound that they want to go with, like from there on, you know, if this is going to be somewhat the type of style that they want to go with, but it could change up, you know, but it's very good is what I'm trying to say. It's a very capably executed you know, delivery of this type of song, and they could definitely do, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what else they can do with their vocals, because I know they can do a lot more. You can tell already. You can tell from the type of vocal work that's being done on this song that they can probably expand their range some, because they could definitely put some air behind it. They can definitely, you know, produce a very powerful type of sound. The when she did that slide up, you know, that was so strong. It was so consistent, right, through all of the range of sound that was covered there. You know, it was a very deliberate, but also very smooth slide up to that. And so I know, like, there's more, like there's ability there. You know, she can go up, and I know she can go down. She can, you know what I mean, like, and she didn't quite break into head voice. She just rode the sort of, you know, from sounded like a pretty comfortable lower part, but as she went up, you could tell that it was pushing up against the upper limits of what the chest voice is, but she held on to it all the way until, you know, the high point there. And so it was really, really awesome. So, you know, as is usual, when I experience a new group or hear a new group for the first time, it has me wondering what else they can do, you know. And I guess it remains to be seen. You can definitely check out more. Huge! What a huge sound at the end there. But that was a fun one. That was a fun one. It's definitely it's definitely interesting. It's got its own, you know, feel to it, like mostly because of those wild transitions. Like there was such a, breakdown, and then vocal, guitar, drum fill, and then like everything ramps back up again and it starts over. And it was it's interesting, man. It's interesting. There's probably some examples, but I've never quite heard, yet. I think in K-pop it usually stays pretty legato, pretty connected. Like everything's pretty smooth, especially the transitions. You can have drum fills and stuff to bring a section back in, for sure. That's not anything new, but just the way that it was done, with breaking everything down and then having a sequence of basically just one type of sound, like one voicing it within the mix at a time, like boom boom boom, and the boom. In it was fun though. It's fun. It's a fun sound. It really is. And they have a fun concept, and they have a fun visual. Like everything is pretty interesting, man. So that's actually pretty cool. Like I said, they're like a follow-up then, like the succeeding generation after a group like MAMAMOO. And so this was fun. And so if they continue to develop, and they might eventually try all kinds of different things, which would be cool. I think one of the reasons a lot of your third generation groups are so successful is, it's definitely their ability to do different styles, different sounds, different takes, depending on what the song is. And with fourth gen groups, like some do the same, you know what I mean? Some definitely do the same. ITZY has all kinds of different sounds, but I think some of them maybe the trend is to kind of have a particular type of style or like a signature type of style or sound. So it'll be interesting to see if that's what they go with, you know what I mean? If they do something along the lines of sticking to a particular sound, or having some variety, changing it up a little bit, or even like one of the things you can do, if you do kind of go with the signature sound, at least at first, later on down the line, you can do something different, and then all of a sudden it's interesting again. It's just like, whoa, hey, they never usually do this kind of thing. So we'll have to just stay tuned to see that, and I guess I'll have to check out more. They have a really great sound though. Like the vocals are really, really nice, and like I said, it was an interesting composition, really wild transitions. The mix is solid. Every part in the mix is really fun. Like the whole thing, the nice funky disco type of groove, like fun parts, man. This would sound really awesome if it was performed with a live band. It's one of those kinds of songs. Still some synth in there. In fact, I think those kit sounds, and the percussion probably were the pads. You know what I mean? Like it would, if you had an actual kit, like a drum. If you had a band that was playing this, the percussion part is going to be super strong. Like it's gonna be big, right? It's gonna be like super punchy. The kick is gonna be like really, really strong. So, but it could be fun, you know what I mean? That could add a lot more sort of dynamic quality to it. But it's a good song with an interesting sort of approach to it. Definitely a solid comeback for the group. I guess next time around, maybe I'll check out the beginnings, like the debut stuff. or catch up with something that is more recent. Maybe take a look at something off of the album, something like that, just to get an idea, just to get an understanding. But it was definitely a fun song for sure. Purple Kiss, Zombie. It's interesting. Purple. I like purple. That's why it's in the logo, right? Like down here, and then up there somewhere in the corner. I got purple and blue in there, but that was fun. Purple Kiss with Zombie. But those transitions were some wild stuff.